Hey everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time zone you're in, whenever you're watching this video. I'm Robin Eckersley. I'm the founder of Own This Life Coaching, and I'm so psyched today in particular because one, I love this particular event, the Vision Development Session, and this is a special 2021 edition, so it's different than the previous ones that I run every month for free to anyone who wants to show up and anyone who wants to get clear on their vision and start taking the next chapter of their life a little bit more seriously, a little bit more intentionally. This has got some good stuff in it. And I'm also really psyched today because this is the first time I'm actually successfully using a live stream. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, for those of you who are watching through Patreon or some other method, still learning this, navigating this new channel, welcome and thanks for being here. If you have any questions, if you have any comments, you can feel free to drop them in the chat here. Also, since this is an exclusive, this is like the event that I host every month for just anybody, not people, not necessarily just people I'm working with or just people who are in an ongoing relationship as a client with me. This is for everyone. You can feel free also to share this with anyone else in your world. So if you want other people, maybe someone you want to enlist as an accountability buddy, for example, to join in, or someone who's maybe kind of stuck in their life, if they're really just kind of just running in a circle and just really not feeling any kind of zest or passion in life, they need to be here. Share this link with them, okay? And it's going to be recorded, so if they're not available right now, that's cool. They can watch it after the fact. I hope you have brought a notebook because we've got a lot to get into today. I'm going to be sharing my screen so you can see some of the content that I've laid out here. If you want to take screenshots, that's totally fine. But if you post it anywhere, I just ask that you tag Own This Life Coaching on Instagram or tag robin.coach, just so people kind of know where the source is coming from. So if they have any questions, then they can also come to me and be part of this community, and we can all learn and grow together. Okay, folks, so let's go ahead and get started. Okay, cool. All right, so first of all, thank you so much for being here, guys. You are allocating time out of your life to direct your focus to this, which is super, super important stuff. Living from vision is not a traditional way that the average person lives from. And the fact that you're prioritizing this and making this important in your life and actively channeling energy into it and channeling your focus into it, kudos to you. I just want to thank you from a personal perspective from being here because I love connecting with you. But also the whole reason I do this work is because I truly think that the world would be better off if more people lived from a place of vision instead of the other side of things, which is what we're going to get into in just a minute. So like I said before, my name is Robin Eckersley. I'm a certified professional coach. I specialize as being an empowerment coach for women specifically. I do have a couple of male clients, but generally I work primarily with women. And like I said before, I'm the founder of Own This Life Coaching, and we focus on helping folks, specifically women who have lost touch with their passion, lost touch with their purpose. They feel like, I don't even know who I am anymore. And they don't really know where to start. They have a lot of tools, but they're just getting kind of overwhelmed with knowing how to streamline it all and knowing how to be effective with it and channel it into a life that's actually purpose-driven, that's actually passion-driven, that's actually bringing them alive. And what we're going to cover today is the very first step of that. So let's go ahead and dive in. Okay, so what we're going to cover today are 5 different areas, 4 of content, and then 5 is a little gift for you at the end for additional thank you and kudos for showing up and doing this kind of work. We're going to first talk about what is the skill of visioning and how do you do it. Basic stuff, elementary level. If you've been to the other versions of this won't be new, but the cool thing is that if you're here again, and this isn't your first time hearing that particular statement, you're going to know it differently. That's the thing about this work. It's not just okay, I know how to do that. Like I know how to tie my shoes and therefore I'm an expert shoe tire. This type of work is something that you go deeper and deeper into as you personally evolve over the years. You know it differently, you hear it differently, you apply it differently. The next thing we're going to talk about is crafting your vision statement. It's all well and good to know what visioning is and generally how to do it. It's another thing to put it into practice, right? So you're going to walk away today with a working, living, breathing, evolving vision statement that you can go out into the world with. And for today's special edition of this event, we're going to take that and apply it to 2021 so we can get ahead. And if you saw any kind of promotion for this event, it was something along the lines of don't set any goals before you work with your vision or before you attend this workshop or something really kind of like urgent like that. So this is the stuff that we're talking about. This is the stuff that type of sentiment is referring to. Getting clear on your vision and using that as the foundation for the goals that you set, for the actions that you take and the steps that you take as you go forward through this year. The fourth piece of content we're going to talk about is where to go from here. So, okay, I have my vision statement, I've got my plan for 2021, now what? Because there's a real thing that happens when people attend workshops, when they attend conferences, that they get so fired up and they're like, that was amazing, and I'm gonna do it, and I'm so motivated, and I'm so committed. And then a week goes by and they're less fired up, and maybe they're not remembering most of what was talked about. And then another week goes by, and then next thing you know, Monday rolls around and you're back in the old habits, right? We don't want that today, because I don't want this to be a waste of your time. I don't want you to be back in the same position you are 2 weeks from now, just because there was no kind of like linchpin to keep this rolling, to move this into action. You're here because there's something about your life that you want to change, that you want to improve, that you want to evolve. And you're going to be right back at square one if we don't cover this particular portion. So that's going to be super crucial. And at the end, you get a little gift, a little present, because I love giving presents. So let's get into it. What is visioning? Visioning, as its most basic thing, is projecting a mental image of the future. Anytime you're thinking about any moment other than the present moment going forward, you're visioning. It's very simple, it's very basic. What happens with us is that we are doing it all the time. You can't not do it, right? That's why for a lot of people, clearing your head, meditating, thinking about nothing can be very difficult for a lot of people, because we're always thinking. The brain is always going. And as far as we know, we are the only animal, we are the only living thing that can vision intentionally and at will. So when we decide to vision, we can do that. We can generate images in our head of something that hasn't happened yet, or something that doesn't exist. There's a lot of other species that like dream, right? Or they'll think and remember things of the past. They'll recognize images or experiences that have happened before. But so far, we are the only species that can do it on demand, basically. And we can design that picture how we want. Now, the problem is most people do it to terrorize themselves and to guard against pain, instead of visioning from a place that actually brings us alive and serves us, and that is good for us, beneficial to us in some way, that empowers us. Now, naturally, how we are wired is to remember pain. So say, okay, when I touched the hot stove, I burned my hand, I won't do that again, right? That type of self-preservation mode comes out in a lot of different ways, and especially where we are as a species today, it's a lot to do with emotional pain and mental pain as well. Saying, you know what, if I step out of my comfort zone, I'm going to feel vulnerable. If I go for this promotion, I put myself at risk of failure, of, when it comes to things like public speaking or being a leader. There's a lot of fear of failure, a fear of humiliation, fear of disappointing. Now, these aren't things that are necessarily going to get us killed, but our brain is saying this is a dangerous thing. We should avoid things that could potentially lead to things that we don't want. So a lot of times when we're thinking about the future, when we're thinking about the path we want our lives to take, we're coming from a baseline of safeguarding against pain. That means we're visioning from fear. We're visioning from worry or concern. Oftentimes, what I hear a lot is that people can't help thinking about the worst case scenario, right? When they're thinking about the future, here are all the things that can go wrong. They're really, really great, and this might be you. You might be really, really great at making a list of here are all the things that can go wrong. Here's the worst that can happen. And here are all the reasons why I shouldn't do this thing, whatever it is that you're talking about. If it's, asking someone out on a date, they could say no. They could laugh at me. They could, call me ugly. They could, all of these things that hurt. Here's a long list of reasons why I shouldn't ask this person out on a date, right? And then the list of reasons why you should seems to just not be compelling enough for you to take the step. So what happens? Our brain has rationalized us and justified us into staying exactly where we are, dateless in that particular example, or in the same job that you're dissatisfied with, or just feeling like you're on autopilot, like you're just living day to day and it's the same routine every day, and you're thinking that something is magically going to change, and so you wish, but there's no real action. Because all of these long lists of things that could go wrong or that won't be to your benefit, that could potentially happen, things that haven't happened yet, guys, that fear and that concern keeps us in this little box where we just end up going in circles and living pretty much the same life day in and day out. Now, there's nothing wrong with that. If that is the life, if you are living the life that you just adore, do it. Do it. The thing is that you're not going to die if you don't go for your dream. The thing is that we're all moving towards the same ending. If you want to get to that ending, having never tried that thing that you would love to do, maybe it's you'd love to learn a language, you'd love to go somewhere, you'd love to really see what your potential is, maybe find something that really lights you up, and you've never tried because that very loud voice that's wired within us to say this is a dangerous thing, this is a risky thing, to go outside your comfort zone, if that's how you want to live, then you're in the wrong place, right? And there's something about you that is saying that's not how I want to live. There's something in my life I want to evolve, something in my life that I want to make better, but maybe I can't put my finger on it, or fear keeps getting in the way, or I keep justifying why I don't take that step, then you are in the right place. Okay. Another thing, so last thing on that list here that the average person naturally visions from the past is that a lot of times, even subconsciously, we're thinking, well, that didn't work out that time. Why would I try it this time? It'll never work because I personally saw failure, or I've seen other people not get what they want by doing this. Then what's the point? It's too risky. Only certain specific people who have these particular things lined up for them can be successful in this area. Therefore, I'm not going to do it. And you've just talked yourself out of a potentially completely different life, right? This is the problem. We assume that the past will repeat itself. We assume that all these terrible things could happen, or all these reasons we could fail could happen. So we never take the step forward. Today, we learn to live from a place of vision that opens up a lot more opportunities. The solution to this problem that the average person is roaming around and dwelling and living their life in and not even realizing it is to learn to live from vision intentionally. Okay, so in your notes, you can write a section as to these are the 5 steps to visioning. This is your how-to portion of visioning. The very first question, or very first thing to take a look at is you need to focus, lean into whatever brought you here today, and choose one area to transform. I'm going to refer to it as your ATT, area to transform, going forward, okay? Now, here I've listed 4. Your vocation, which you can also call your career. Essentially, it's whatever you do to share your gifts and talents with the world. Doesn't matter if you're paid or not. It could be something that you just do. It could be volunteer work. It could be a job. It could be anything that you're just creating and contributing to something larger than yourself. That's what we're talking about when I say vocation. Health, I'm talking mental, emotional, physical health, your overall health and well-being. The third category is relationships, and this could be your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your partner, your relationship with friends, family, colleagues. Maybe there's a relationship or multiple in your life that's at a point where you're like, I can't keep going this way, something's got to change. Maybe that's the area you're looking to transform. Resources is the fourth category. And when I say resources, I'm talking about your time and your money. These things that are critical to how daily life happens in modern society. So time and money, resources. You can also think about it as time and money, freedom. Now, to choose the area you'd love to transform, you want to lean into what's feeling uncomfortable, what's feeling like, man, I'm just so tired of this being the way it is. It could be your job, it could be maybe your health situation. You want to lean into the discomfort. You want to really feel, okay, this thing that maybe I keep avoiding, or this thing that I find myself complaining a lot about or being really dissatisfied with, that's the area that's calling out to be transformed. That's the area that's calling out to say, hey, I would love something different in this year, right? Okay, so choose one of those areas to focus on. Over time, when you work with me, we talk about all of these areas because there's no siloed version of your existence. We are holistic, comprehensive beings, and we have lots and lots of different aspects in our lives. So for today, and for today's purposes, choose one of these 4 areas, okay? Write that down somewhere where you can hang on to it. Now, the second step is to get really cozy with the question, what would I love? Now, what would I love ends up being a surprisingly difficult question for most people to answer, almost always. When I ask that question to someone for the first time, we're just sitting down and we're having a conversation about what they want to change in their lives, what they would like to add or remove or do less of or do more of in their lives. When I ask them, well, what would you love? It's almost always coming with a ton of caveats, a ton of conditions, saying, well, I mean, I think maybe the next step for me is to go for a promotion, or I think it makes a lot of sense to move to another city. You know, the kids are getting older, so I should probably start looking at X, Y, and Z. All of these words like, it makes sense, I probably should, I need to, what's probably going to happen. That type of stuff is really cushioning the answer, right? And it's lowering the bar. It's not what you would love. You're letting the brain and the logic and past performance and maybe examples of other people, well, you know, at this age, most people start to retire. We're letting other facts and conditions around us stifle the answer to the question. The simple question, it's only 4 words, what would I love? We have a really difficult time living from that place of, well, you know what? I would love to jump on a spaceship and go to Mars with Elon Musk. No one is gonna I can't think of if anyone has ever just jumped in and honestly answered that question, because we don't allow ourselves to lean into what we would actually love. You can also think of this version of the question in your notes. You can say, what would I love / what would bring me most alive? Because at the end of the day, that sense of discomfort, that sense of dissatisfaction, that sense of I just know there's something else out there for me. I just know there's something more I could be doing, or there could be something different where I just feel more vibrant. I just feel more alive. That's actually exactly what's trying to happen through you. Just like any living being, like whether you're a blade of grass, whether you're a zebra, whether you're a human being, that life that's looking to come through you is not looking for a mediocre experience. It's not saying, okay, like, well, this is kind of alive. This is kind of an alive experience. This is good enough. Nature is saying, nope, we want to grow, we want to thrive, we want to live at a level of vibrancy at our highest capacity. Not this makes sense. let's just tone down the living here. Let's just tone down the thriving, scale it back. That's just not how nature is designed to work through us, right? So if you have trouble answering the question, what would I love? You can also ask yourself the question, what brings me most alive? When do you really feel like, yes, this is my jam, I'm in my zone, I'm loving this, oh my gosh, I feel so good? What would create that kind of sensation? Okay? Now, the third part to learning how to vision is to give yourself permission to play. Remember how I was saying that most people are saying, well, I think I want to do this, or I think I should probably start volunteering. I should probably maybe take a class, right? That's heaped with rationale, that's heaped with rules and restrictions. And so here, in the skill of visioning, in the practice of visioning, this is simply you and me and a piece of paper and you tapping into your gut, listening to hear the answer to what would bring me most alive, what would I really love. Sometimes people I remember when you're visioning big enough, you have almost like a physical reaction. You start to get nervous. Maybe your heart starts to beat faster. Maybe your stomach starts to feel like a little bit uncomfortable. Maybe you start to feel like, I shouldn't be thinking about this. There's a physical kind of like closing off of like, oh my God, like it's dangerous to think this way. Because if I start thinking about what I would really love to be doing, the version of myself I would really love to be walking through the world as, the life I would really love to be living, if I acknowledge that, then that means I'm going to have to change something. Or that means my dissatisfaction is going to go skyrocketing because I've acknowledged that I don't want this anymore. And that's a super scary conversation for a variety of reasons. So the biggest risk that you're going to have is basically that you find something that brings you alive. It's not going to kill you. It's okay. It's just you and a piece of paper and me having this conversation. But the pressure can feel really intense when you actually remove the rules, when you actually remove any kind of restrictions and rationale. A lot of people will try and say, well, I would love this, and here's how it would get there. The how we're going to get there really starts to play into the thinking. And because we're such complex thinkers and we're such capable thinkers, our brain wants to go into, well, how can we make that happen? And if it can't see a way to make that happen, then it doesn't let us think of like, the example of, well, I'd love to go on a rocket ship to the moon or to Mars with Elon Musk. Then the brain would likely be like, well, that's super expensive, that's super risky, you don't have astronaut training, blah, 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 blah. All of those reasons start to come into play in terms of the how it's not going to work. And so for right now, when it comes to visioning, you ignore the how. The how is irrelevant here, as is logic, as is restrictions and rules and expectations, all of that. Irrelevant. It's simply the question, what would I love? What would bring me most alive? And you go from there. Now, like I said, one of the biggest risks is saying, oh my God, now I have to face the fact that I want something in my life to change. The other risk is also getting super inspired. Not such a bad thing, really. It's just you writing down words on a piece of paper. Now, number 4 is to capture the vision in a living written statement. That's what you're going to walk away with today. One of the things you're going to walk away with today. So we'll get into how you phrase that and how you write the statement, but essentially there's a lot of power, and those of you who are into journaling, those of you who are into planning, those of you who are into any kind of writing or drawing, it's different when you get it out from up here, right? If it's all up here in your head and you're just thinking about what you would love, it's not really real. It's not tethered to anything. It can come and go. It's not got any kind of structure or support, like a supportive container for it to grow from. It's just floating around there. So what we're going to do is capture this vision and distill the answers to what I would love, what would I love, what would bring me most alive, and we put it into a document so we can see it, we can come back to it, we can edit it, we can evolve it on an ongoing basis. Now, it's also really important to do this because for the most part, we've been visioning from a place of what should I avoid? What's the most risky thing? Let me take the least risky, or let me take the path that makes the most sense here. And that's how we've been not only visioning, but acting on those beliefs and those assumptions, right? And we've been doing that for years. It's a habit. So in order for us to create a new habit to live from vision intentionally instead of reactively and on autopilot, we need something kind of in front of us to remind us, hey, here's your compass, here's your North Star, to build that new habit. It takes intention, it takes focus, and having that written down can be super useful to that. The fifth step is to actually step into that vision, try it on, and to update it regularly. So as you start to try it on, saying, okay, one day I would love, and that's not how you start your vision statement, by the way, I'll get into how you properly start it in a second. I wish that I had this job where I was a fashion designer in New York. It was going to Fashion Week every week, or Fashion Week every year, and all of my designs were on display, and I was, hobnobbing with all of these amazing designers, and I meet Lady Gaga, and like whatever your vision is, try it on. Maybe that means going to a local fashion show. Maybe that means, listening to conversations of other people who have risen to stardom, for example. And you start to say, maybe I wouldn't love that so much. Maybe I would love it, but I don't want to be doing New York Fashion Week. I want to be my own private boutique. I don't want, all the glitz and glam. That seems really stressful, and I feel like I would lose touch with my vision and my purpose. I just want like a local seaside boutique where I can design what I want, and I can have people come in, after they've been surfing or whatever, and they can peruse my thing. So it takes really some trying on. It's like trying on different clothes. It's like, molding a dough that what initially comes to mind is only going to be a super rough draft of what you would love. You've got to try it on. You've got to start to, step into it and live as if that was actually happening, to say, hey, I love this part, but I want to change this. Or maybe I want to shift this completely. Maybe I want to shift it just slightly. You want to update the vision regularly so that it really starts to hone in on what it is that you would love. Okay, so now we're going to get into actually creating your vision statement. So go ahead and open up a new sheet in your notebook, and we're going to just sit for a moment and think, what is it? It's January 6th, 2021. Think 3 years from now, January 6th, 2024. You and I are sitting down, we're having a chat, and I want to know all the stuff that's happening in your life right now. Tell me about your life. What would you love that conversation to sound like? What would you love to be able to tell me? Saying, oh my gosh, Robin, I can't wait to tell you all about my life. Here's what's happening. And you tell me about what's going on. And it's not just, we want to focus today on your area to transform, your ATT. So whatever you chose earlier, your vocation, your health, your relationships, your time and money resources, whatever it is that you're focusing on, use that area for this exercise today. Like, oh my gosh, Susie Q, tell me all the things about your vocation. What's happening? It's been 3 years. Now we use 3 years because part of you assumes, and maybe not after 2020, part of you has kind of an expectation about where you might be a year from now. Saying, it's probably be in the same job, I'll probably, be in the same side of town, that automatic brain function to figure it out and to think that this is what it's going to look like is kicking in. But we want to push it out to 3 years, because even though we've seen a lot of things can happen in 1 year, even more things, and there's even more wiggle room 3 years out. So let's think about January 6th, 2024. You and I get back together. Oh my gosh, Susie Q, tell me about what's going on in your health. How's your health these days? How is your relationship with your mom? How is that going? What's work like these days? Oh my gosh, tell me about the rhythm of your calendar. What's going on in your bank account, girl? Let's be really specific about the area you're looking to transform. What's the conversation you would love to be having to be able, like, you're so proud, you're so excited to tell the other person, me, about what's going on in your life. In your vision statement, you're also focusing on a specific moment in time. So you can talk about the specific moment where you and I are sitting down for coffee and having that conversation. You can also talk about a specific moment, like a highlight moment that represents what's happening. So let's say it's something to do with work. Let's go back to that. Wanting to open a little boutique by the seaside where you sell your own fashion designs. Let's come back to that example. So you can focus on a specific moment as you write your vision statement, saying, you know what, it's a Sunday afternoon. I've just come back from my lunch break and I'm arranging some of the outfits on the models. And then there's this group of young girls who have come in from surfing at the beach. And it just makes me so excited because they walk in the door and they're chattering to themselves and so excited about the day that they've had. And they're saying, oh my gosh, look at this shirt. It's so cute. I love this store. They're maybe sharing it on social media. That's a specific moment that you're talking about. Talking about people, your ideal client, walking through the door and what they're experiencing because you said yes to your dream, because you stepped into your vision. Okay? So that's what I mean when I say focus on a moment in time. You can use our coffee conversation as that moment, or you can use a specific moment that's different in your vision about your area to transform. You want to start with your vision statement with the phrase, I am so happy and grateful now that, ... And then you write out your vision. I'm so happy and grateful now that I get to walk in to my adorable little boutique at the seaside and just see people's faces light up when they check out all the things that I have to offer. That would be a great start to your vision statement. The last piece on this image is to sensorize the experience. So it's not just telling me it's like this, and then this happens, and this, and this, and this. We want to really get familiar in our cells about that. So what does it feel like? You have that sense of pride when your customers walk through the door. You can feel the materials on the clothes that you've designed in the store. You can smell the sea salt, right? Because of the waves crashing. You can hear the seagulls in the distance. And you can hear the waves crashing. You're really getting all of your senses on board. Maybe you could smell, a pot of coffee brewing in the background. It's your favorite kind of coffee. So whatever it is, you want to, whatever your vision is, you want to enlist the five senses as fully as you can, because then it also starts to familiarize your body with it. We'll talk about that another time, but you want to have this statement to be as sensory as possible. You want it to start with, I'm so happy and grateful now that, because if you were living your vision, that vision of the answer to what you would really love, what kind of life would really bring you most alive, you would be pretty happy living that life. And you would feel so grateful, like, oh my gosh, I get to live this life. I just have so much gratitude to be living this life, right? That's a feeling that you feel in your body. That's why we start out the vision statement with, I'm so happy and grateful now that. Okay, so what I'm going to do at this point, guys, and if you have any questions about this, please drop them in the chat. Pretty sure the chat is working. You can drop a question in the chat. I'll answer it here. And what I'm going to do is set a timer for 5 minutes. And we are going to write out the first version of your vision statement, okay? So on a fresh page, if you have it, or a good chunk of blank paper, write out, I'm so happy and grateful now that, and you just start writing whatever comes to mind, what you would love for this particular area of your life that you would love to transform. I'm going to go ahead and start it. And if you have questions, go ahead and drop them in the chat. Otherwise, I'll see you in 5 minutes.
As you're writing this vision statement, guys, don't think about getting it right or wrong. It's not about getting it right or wrong. It's simply about allowing yourself to access that space that's so hard for people to get into sometimes of what would I love? If there were no rules, if there were no restrictions, any of that, what would I love this area of my life to transform into? That's what we're asking ourselves, okay? If you feel any kind of, I should want this, I should want this to look this way, just note it down. Saying I'm noticing, write it on the corner saying should want this promotion, should want to start my own business, should want kids, should want whatever. Because we want to acknowledge it, and there's nothing wrong with that. We're not looking to like judge or chastise or anything like that. We just want to note it because those are things, those are habits that are running, that are influencing our visions. We just want to make a note of them. So as you work in your vision, you have about 2.5 minutes left. Just let yourself write uncensored. We're not going to judge it. None of that. It's just a starting point. This is your first draft. About 1.5 minutes left. And if you're feeling kind of stuck, or you feel like, well, this is my vision. Here's what I would love. And what else? And I would love to get massages once a week. And I'd love to travel to a new country, twice a year. And whatever comes to mind, it's about getting the juices flowing, getting used to answering the question, okay? So just take this last minute and tease what else you've got in there. Okay, guys. There we go. Okay.
So how was that initial swing at a vision statement for you? Notice what comes up. Just write down, that was difficult, that was surprisingly easy. I loved it. It was really uncomfortable. Whatever your experience was, just note down a couple of words that reflect the experience of writing the vision. And now you have your very first draft. This is really cool, guys, because it only goes from here. You've essentially created like your launch pad. You've essentially created, this is my starting point from which everything starts to work and things start to change, which is super, super cool. Okay, so what we're going to do, I've thrown a lot of information at you. You've thought probably a little bit differently about yourself, your life, potential, what the future looks like, etc. You've learned a lot so far. If you have any questions, throw them in the chat. This is the time to do it. Also, we're going to take a little body break. So just take a moment to take a deep breath in and then let it go. We'll do 2 more after this. Breathe in, hold it, and then let it go. And as you take this last breath in, think about, I'm going to live the life that I love. And release it. I can't wait to live the life that I love. It's on my way. I know it. I can't wait to get clear on what that looks like. So we're just grounding all of this juiciness, this goodness into our bodies right now. Go ahead and stretch your arms out. Maybe roll your shoulders a little bit. Maybe give your neck a little bit of a rotation there, just to get back in the body. So you've probably been sitting for a little while now at this point, 45 minutes. And then you can do maybe a little bit of a twist in your chair, twist the back, get the spine moving, get the blood flowing, and get refreshed as we go into the next version, the next portion here. Okay, so the next couple slides are for you to simply observe. I'm going to be talking about different areas of your life. Don't feel like you have to copy everything down. It's meant to be, full disclosure, it's meant to look a little bit chaotic, okay? So here's where we get into saying, okay, what do I do with my vision in terms of 2021? Your vision is your focus for the year. The area that you chose to transform is the area that is asking for the transformation, that is ready to grow. It is the area that is ready to evolve. Okay? And so for 2021, this is what we prioritize for the year. That's what this pink circle here is all about, area to transform. Now, the 4 different areas we talked about before, your health, your relationships, your resources, your vocation, those are the 4 main areas that we talked about earlier. The thing is that obviously there are more areas to life. There are more aspects to life. Things that are important, that could be important to you also, are maybe your creativity. I generally attract people into my world who love being creative, or they would like to be more creative. A sense of fun. This is not supposed to be just, I'm living my life and it's a great thing and I'm impressing myself and other people with all the things I've accomplished. It's supposed to be fun. Whatever fun is for you, there's a sense of joy that goes to it. Your sense of spirituality, whatever that looks like to you, your connection to something greater than yourself. Maybe it's an energy, maybe it's a religion, maybe it's something, whatever your belief system is. Spirituality is, for many people, a really important part of their holistic selves, their comprehensive selves. Learning. I also tend to attract people who love to learn. They're not satisfied with, well, I went to school and I did this professional development stuff and that's it. Generally, I tend to attract people who love learning new things. So that becomes a priority in their lives. Maybe there's a sense of travel and adventure that's important to you. And maybe, probably, there's an area where you would love to be more philanthropic in a more profound way. So whether that's doing more, giving more, some people like to set up organizations, set up nonprofits, for example. But your contribution in a philanthropic way to the world might be another area that's important to you. Now, in terms of your notes, you can feel free to write these categories down as basically like a word bank or an idea box from which to pull. Because the next couple of things that we're going to do, we're going to talk about the areas of your life that are important to you in addition to the area to transform your ATT that you chose. Okay? Now, so you can just jot those down. We talked about 3 years out for your vision. January 6, 2024, you and I are sitting down and having coffee, and you're telling me about your ATT and what that looks and feels like. But that's 3 years from now. Let's think about December 31st, 2021. What would you love your ATT to look and feel like by the end of the year? And remember, what would you love it to look like? I'm asking you genuinely, what would you love? Not what do you think is reasonable? What do you think is probable or acceptable to want? By the end of this year, whatever ATT you chose, what would you love that to be like? So go ahead and just jot that down a little bit. Maybe it's a portion of the vision that you wrote out. Maybe it's a couple bullet points. It was like, maybe I would love a new job by the end of the year. I would love to have found a new city to live in. I would love to start a new relationship, maybe. I would love my bank account to be something that just brings me alive. So whatever that looks like by the end of the year, just jot down a couple of bullet points. Okay? Now, the thing is that we have these 4 main areas, these blue circles here: health, relationships, resources, vocation. And then we have these other aspects of our lives, right? Creativity, fun, spirituality, learning, travel, adventure, philanthropy, and more. These are just a handful that I chose to include in this visual. And here's where it gets pretty chaotic, guys. Within each of these categories, they have their own nuances. They have their own aspects, right? So if we just take the relationships bubble as an example, your relationships could include your relationship with yourself, your relationship with your partner, your relationship with family members, coworkers, friends. Each of those things has its own look and feel. What would you love your relationship with yourself to look and feel like by the end of the year, as an example? What would you love your relationship with your partner, if you have one, to look and feel like by the end of the year? Maybe would you love to invite a partner into your life by the end of the year? So here, the thing is that this can really spiral, right? And this is where people get a little bit overwhelmed and saying like, well, I don't know where to start. There's so many things about my life that I would love to change. There's so many nuances about my life that I would love to change. I feel like I'm just getting overwhelmed now and I don't even know where to start. And a lot of times this is where people just feel stuck. They have like all their planners and like, yes, I'm going to set the goals. I'm going to do all the things. It's going to be my year. And then they start to be like, oh, wait, there's actually a lot of different aspects of my life. Oh my God, I don't have time for all of this. Right? And so what we're going to do, streamline it all. Streamline it all. And this is why I asked you to, if you wanted to, write down different categories like, oh yeah, philanthropy is really important to me, or oh yeah, my spiritual life is really important to me. You start with your area to transform. That area that is ready to grow, that is just saying, you know what, it's time for us to get our stuff together. This has got to change. I can't wait for this to change. That's going to be at the center of this particular. You can go ahead and write down this diagram if you want. Write down whatever ATT you chose in the middle. All the other aspects of your life, if you want, if let's say fun and spirituality and health and friends, you can fill in those other bubbles with the things in your life that are most important to you, the aspects of your life that are most important to you. Any goals that you set in those lives, we want them to be serving the transformation of your ATT. We want them all to be rolling up into that central transformation. Because that thing, that North Star, is what we're focusing our efforts on. It will be much more effective in transformation, much more streamlined, much more organized, make much more progress when everything is feeding into the thing that we are focusing on, right? Instead of dividing our energies and attentions all different ways and make a little bit of progress over a wide breadth of our lives, we want to, those other areas of our lives are going to be happening, right? You're still going to be feeding yourself. Let's feed ourselves in a way that's going to serve how we show up in our ATT, as an example. You're still going to have people in your life. How you show up in those relationships can serve whatever your ATT is. Okay? So we're streamlining everything, we're rolling everything up to really transform this particular area that you just know something's got to change here. So go ahead and fill out, I wouldn't do more than 6 additional areas of your life. Go ahead and populate these other circles with other areas of your life that are the most important to you. And they don't have to be 6. If there's only, 1 or 2, that's completely fine. I also attract people who tend to be like very high achievers, and they want to do everything and more. They're the extra credit kind of folks, the people that did all the work in the group projects. So this is just an example. Don't do more than 6 additional areas of your lives. If there's only, you have your ATT and maybe 2 other things that are most important to you, just fill out 2 bubbles. That's totally fine. Okay? So what we're going to do next to these bubbles is we're going to say, okay, what would I love to be doing? Maybe it's I'd love to be going to the gym more often. Maybe it's I want to start designing more. I want to start taking photos more often. I want to, take that course that I've been wanting to take to feed my need to learn and my love of learning. Those are fine. Just jot down the activities that are associated with those bubbles next to each area of your life, okay? In the center circle where it says ATT, you're going to write whatever area it is, your health, your vocation, whatever it is. And you're going to jot down no more than 3 things you would love to be different by the end of the year. So by the end of the year, I would love to, have applied for a new job and gotten a new job. I would love to have increased my income by $10,000 a year. I would love to, whatever that looks like, get really specific on what you would love that ATT to look and feel like by the end of the year. And then the actions and goals that you set for the supporting bubbles, the secondary areas of your life, let's attach those to supporting your area to transform. Okay, so let's say, for example, we'll go back to the boutique on the seaside example. So my area to transform would be in that little circle, say my vocation. 3 years from now, I'd love to have that boutique on the seaside, at the seaside. 1 year from now, I would love to have designed 6 pieces that I'm really proud of. Now that's a measurable goal that you can set that's related to your long-term vision and relevant to this year. You can do those in 6 years, right? Create 6 designs of pieces you'd love to include in your future boutique, right? That could be one of your goals for the year for your ATT. Another goal for the year for 2021 could be I've met 10 different boutique designers or boutique owners by the end of the year. Okay, so that's something measurable that you can do by the end of the year. So now you have 2 goals that are associated with your ATT, the thing that is crying out for transformation the most. Okay, so this is how we do it. We work backwards. So what can we do within the month? Well, I can reach out to 1 boutique owner, maybe locally, wherever you live, and just ask if they want to have a conversation with me so I can learn about their experience. Or I can start sketching 10 designs in my sketch pad, and by the end of the year, I will have made 6 of those. So essentially, we take the 3-year vision, we bring it back to 1 year, and say, okay, by the end of the year, here's what I'd love this area of my life to look and feel like. And here are some goals I can set around that. And then we bring it even closer up to us to say, okay, by the end of the month, here are the steps I can take and that I would love to take toward that progress I'd love to see by the end of the year. Okay, so that's focusing on that center circle. That's essentially how you go about that. The supporting circles, now we are talking about, okay, well, this is also important to me. I have my vocation goals, but also my health is really important to me. So by the end of the year, I'd love to be waking up and feeling so much energy each day. I'm waking up and I'm feeling alive. I'm feeling like ready to go. I can't wait to get my day started. And that's how I'd love to feel by December. So in January, what I can do is to start researching ways of generating more energy. That's a step in the direction of your health. And when you have that, you can attach that health. You want to say, this relates to my ATT in that it'll help me show up for my dream of a boutique more fully. I'll be more vibrant as a designer. I'll be more creative in the mornings when I'm sketching my designs. We want to tie these little circles on the outside to the circle on the inside, to the ATT. Okay? So this is going to be your homework to go from here. Now, what do we do with this? You practice living from vision. Okay, you have your first draft of your vision and you start to practice visioning, practice living from visioning by asking yourself on a daily basis, what would I love? And what would bring me most alive? So for those questions to start to become normal for you, start asking yourself on a daily basis, what would I love to wear today? What would I love to do to, get fit today? Who would I love to speak to today? Who can I just call or text and I would love to just have a conversation with them? What would I love to eat for lunch? What would I love? You start to ask yourself, what would I love for everything? Even one of the examples that I use with some of my clients is, what kind of mug would you love to put your tea in? It's not just an autopilot, like, just grab whatever's clean out of the cabinet. It's, no, I'm feeling kind of chilly and frosty today. It's a wintry morning. So I love my Star Wars Hoth mug because it's got a snow scene on it. I would love that. It's a tiny, tiny piece of joy that enhances my morning experience. And it's me actively practicing living from the question, what would I love? So it's a simple, simple decision, but it's here you get to build the muscle of living from intentional vision instead of living from autopilot, living from routine, right? So simple, simple things. You can take baby steps, and that's how you build that muscle. Also, set a reminder to write a version of your vision statement or to build upon the statement that you started today. Preferably, you want to open and close your day with your vision so that it just becomes normal. So you start your day with it could be, even if you have a busy morning, you know what, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm stepping into my boutique. It's on the seaside. I love hearing the seagulls as I'm turning the key in the door and opening and stepping into my boutique. And I can't wait to turn that open sign and have the first customers come in. Me telling you that took 5 seconds, 10 seconds. It would take probably maybe 30 seconds to write it down. Do that at the beginning of your morning, beginning of your day, and close your day with vision as well. Okay? And then finally, do one thing every day that moves you closer to that vision. Now, I want to put a little caveat with that too, because a lot of people can say, well, I can't create a new design every single day. I can't just meet with people every single day. I have other things in my life going on. Yes. And when I say taking steps towards your vision every single day, we don't want that to be just a long to-do list of code. Check. I met with someone, check. I asked this person what it's like, check. I did this. This is more of, your vision is going to ask you to grow into another version of yourself. For you to be the person who owns a business, as a thriving boutique by the seaside, she's going to need to move through her life and think about life and make decisions differently than the version of you today, right? The purpose of her dream is not to to get the things we want to get. The purpose of our dream is to grow us. Remember, nature is coming through us. Nature wants to thrive. We are here to be basically like thriving beings. So whatever brings you most alive, that's the vision. Your job is to find out what brings you most alive, to step into that, to try things on, get comfortable with it, right? And part of that growth is who do you need to be as the person living that vision. So the goal is not the vision, right? The destination is not the vision, guys. This is about evolving into the woman or man who is living, the woman or man or non-binary person who is living their vision, right? That person has learned how to deal with stress differently. They've learned how to deal with conflict differently. They've learned how to make decisions from vision. They've learned how to manage imposter syndrome. They have learned how to build confidence. These are things that we can take steps toward every single day, right? So for example, let's say your area to transform is your relationship, specifically with yourself. Maybe you're someone who has very high expectations for themselves. Maybe they're someone who beats up on themselves. It's really just like harsh. The things that you say to yourself, the negative talk, negative self-talk that you have is just ongoing, and you want to transform that. So in order for you to have a compassionate, loving relationship with yourself by the end of the year, you're going to need to grow into the person who knows how to set proper expectations with herself. You're going to need to grow into the version of yourself who takes it a little easier, is more gentle in how they think about their, quote, successes or failures. Maybe the growth that needs to happen is how you define success and failure in the first place, right? So this isn't just, I'm going to do these things. It's also, I'm evolving how I am being in order for my life to look and feel like this by the end of the year, or like this 3 years from now. Another example is let's say what you want to build is maybe a sense of confidence, right? You want to be the woman who goes for her passions. She goes for what she would love in life. And she has that kind of confident zest and that whole like, yeah, I'm gung-ho and I'm going to go for the things that I want in my life. And you want to step into that. Maybe you don't see yourself as that person now. So intentional action steps that you can take toward that would be something around practicing stepping outside of your comfort zone, practicing being brave and being courageous even when you feel nervous and maybe want to stay by the sidelines. So it's practicing getting up off the bench. It's practicing stepping into a situation just so you get used to it, right? Because who we are today and who we are living our vision, not the same person. There's a lot of growth that happens in that gap. And what we can do every single day toward that vision version of ourselves, whether it's a year from now or 3 years from now, we can practice being her every single day. You can do one small thing. Maybe for you, it's asking the question, what would I love, all the time, so that it becomes normal for you. If you want to be the person who lives from vision intentionally, then that person lives from the question, what would I love? Not what do I think is reasonable, practical, safe, logical, what's convenient. So we practice living from a different space, and that's something you can do every single day. So it's not necessarily like, well, I can't just start a boutique, in a day. I can't check that off the list, right? But there are things that you can do every single day that grow you into the vision version of yourself. And full disclosure, that's not an easy process, guys. It's not like a cut and dry, you should have this all figured out and do it right and just, be an expert at it. That's why I do what I do, to help people with that, essentially. So this is where you go from here. Today, it's a lot. It's a lot to just kind of throw at you. Maybe you're in the space of, I don't know what I would love. And that's the work to be done, to discover what that is and to develop into the version of yourself who is totally connected with her intuition. She's totally connected with with that nature life force coming through her. And she's like, I know exactly. I can sense it. I can hear it. I can also identify it, and I can live from it. Maybe that's the growth that needs to happen. And then the growth after that is to grow as the woman who's living her vision. It's okay if where you are in your path is to grow into the person, the version of yourself who knows what that vision is in the first place. That's okay. That could be an area to transform in and of itself, right? Okay, so it's present time. So because you invested your time and attention for over an hour into learning how to live differently so that you can grow into something more, even more amazing than the version of who you are today, I want to sit down with you and help you with your vision. Because here, I talk in like a presentation format, and I give you the information, and it's kind of one way, unless I know you can always add questions in the chat, but it's different than us sitting down and actually having conversations saying, okay, let's look at your vision statement. Let's tweak some things here and there. Let's get clearer on your vision. It's a very different experience when it's an actual kind of like interactive conversation, right? So what I do is what's called a revision session. 30 minutes, we sit down, we go through your vision together, totally for free. It's just so I can help you get on the right path and identify what kind of support you need to actually step into that. It's not just, here's your to-do list, go live your vision, right? If you kind of haven't picked up by now, this is a process that you evolve through, right? So on your way to the vision, there's a lot of growth that has to happen. There's a lot of stuff that happens that comes up that we don't even expect it to come up, right? That's the non-linear journey of personal evolution, right? And I just wanted to remind you that you're here for a reason, right? You're here because there's something that you're done being okay with, you're done settling for, you're ready to grow into something more, right? So that's an important voice that you're hearing. That's an important urge that you're feeling. And the more you just kind of delay it and say, oh, now's not the time, or I don't know what I want. I'm used to not knowing what I want, so I'll just keep doing what I'm doing. The more you put it off, the louder it's going to get and the more discomfort you're going to feel. It's ready to grow now. I encourage you to, I don't know if I can, let me see if I can put this in the chat. I think I can. I have to sign, I'm not even signed into the chat. That's crazy. Okay, anyway. Sorry guys, just learning all of the different things here. The totally new channel for me to connect with you. It looks like I can't put it in the chat. So the website is here, www.bit.ly/OTL for Own This Life Revision. OTL is all caps. That will take you to my calendar, and you can book a 30-minute time for us to sit down with your vision. I'll help you go through it. Don't worry about having it like finished or perfect or good enough in any kind of way. That's what I'm here to help you with. So go ahead and grab some time in my calendar so that you can go ahead and do that. And while you're here, you're probably watching this through the live stream. It's a YouTube live stream, but it's on the Patreon page. That particular page also has a series of different super, like, I think the lowest one is like $8 a month, tiers where every month you can get support services to help you if you're just at the very, very beginning of your journey and you're saying, okay, something's got to change and I'm tired of doing it myself and I don't have the time to just figure this out. I could really use some support. There are different tiers right on the page that you're at, which is probably the Patreon page. Everything from journaling prompts every month to truth mantras to remind yourself of what's actually true about you, that you are amazing and powerful and infinite and resilient and resourceful, all of those good things. Kind of like, very much like affirmations. Some of the tiers also get monthly meditations that I record every month and post on there. Also, I think one or two of the tiers You can ask a question. It's basically like ask a coach. You can ask your question and I'll respond with a full video on it that I'll post both on Patreon and on Instagram. So there's all different kinds of resources to basically get you started wherever you are, because you don't want to let this, remember how I said at the beginning, you don't want to be like, okay, I'm gonna live from vision, I'm gonna set my goals, it's all gonna roll up into one big goal, and I got this. And then a week from now, you're like, yeah, well, I had this meeting or some stuff came up, and so I'm not practicing my vision anymore. And then a week after that, it's like, wait, so what is a vision again? Where's my vision statement? I don't even remember where I wrote it down. Super easy for that to happen, guys. And so it's really crucial that one, you book that free revision session so we can get that ball continuing to roll, and that you check out if any of those resources are relevant to you on the Patreon page. Go choose one of those things. It's like the easiest way that you can get support. And if that's insufficient, if you're like, no, I'm not, yes, yay to journaling mantras, journaling prompts and truth mantras, but I'm gonna need more than that. I want more than that. And you're ready to do something more than that, then talk to me about that during our revision session, because I'm here to support. I'm not here to let your dream die. You're not here to let your dream die. You're over it. So that's exactly what opportunities you have in front of you. Okay, so go ahead and grab that web link if you haven't already. And just thank you for, let me actually, thank you for attending, of course. Thank you for investing time in you. I'd love to stay connected on Instagram. I'm at robin.coach and own this life coaching. I am just super excited that I got to spend time with you today. So thank you so much for allocating part of your morning, your afternoon, or your evening to me and to your dream, more importantly, to your vision and the next version of you. You know how to connect with me, and I can't wait to support you in however you need support going forward. All right, guys, I'll stick around a little bit more. I'm going to put the final screen up, but you can feel free to jump in the chat if you have any questions. Otherwise, I will see you soon. And remember that, actually, let me throw this up one more time. I host this particular vision development session. This was much more like, okay, 2021 focused, but I host a vision development session every month. These are the next 2 dates, on February 3rd and March 8th. So I'd love to see you. You can come to those as many times as you want. I encourage you to bring a friend because living from vision is something that's actually not super common. So it can be easy to feel really alone in this work. And it might sound kind of weird to say that, but when you start to think about yourself and think about your life differently, like in a way that's very intentional, in a way that's very aligned, and you're talking about your personal evolution, it can be hard to find people who connect with that. It can be hard to find people who get what you're saying. So I get that. It was huge, like a big thing for me when I first started this type of work years ago. And now definitely I still get strange looks being like, I don't know what you're talking about. It sounds kind of cool, but I don't get it. But I'm cool with that now. So anyway, I say that because, if you feel particularly alone in this type of work, or you feel like this is going to make you kind of an odd duck in your circles, maybe your family or your friend groups or at work, whatever. When you're not alone, I'm right here with you. I live and breathe this stuff. I love this stuff. This is literally the stuff of life. That's not a metaphor. This type of work is the stuff of life. It does drive how you move through the world. It's critical. It's important. And it is your North Star, essentially. Okay. I hope to see you in a revision session. If you have any questions, reach out to me. And you are amazing. You're literally made of the same stuff as stars. The fact that you're alive is incredible. And it's an honor to be here with you. So have an amazing week, guys. Connect with me. I'm here for you, and I will talk to you next time.